Assalamu alaikum everyone. It's Sara here from Cherished Muslimah, and I'm here with Dawn-Sabeeha, who is part of the Cherished Muslimah Wellness team. She is the founder of Living Clean and Pure, and she is here to talk to us about the oil of the month, which for this month is geranium oil. Assalamu alaikum, Dawn. How are you?
Walaikum salam, Sara. I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I know we've been really busy. You've been busy, I've been busy, and we've not actually been able to talk about the oils of the month. But inshallah, we're back in action. And we're here to tell you about geranium oil. So let's just pull up geranium oil. And it's a beautiful oil. And Sabeeha's going to be talking to us about it and how it can help us to give love. So in the Cherished Seasons course, this month, we are looking at giving love. We are in the trait of love, which is in the season of summer. In the first habit that we looked at was receiving love and being grateful for that. Then we looked at self-care, and this month we are looking at giving love to others. Giving love to others in the way that they like it, giving love to others in the ways that we can and feel comfortable in doing so. What a better and more beautiful and fragrant smelling oil than geranium oil. So Sabeeha, tell us a bit about geranium oil. What is it, and what's good about it?
Okay, so I chose geranium oil specifically because it's known as the oil of love and trust. So geranium oil is obviously, it's a beautiful smelling oil. It's a floral oil. So, you know, very feminine, very beautiful smell. It's actually known as the poor man's rose. So it's a lovely flower. It will help us in lots of different ways. So in order to be able to give love, we must be able to sort of trust ourselves and also trust others as well. So I think that's a really crucial, important part to remember when we're actually giving love.
So why I know there's a reason it's called the poor man's rose, but what is it? It smells like rose, right?
It does. It really does smell like rose. And I think because rose is a very precious oil, and rose is very expensive to extract. You need lots and lots of petals to actually extract rose. So hence that, you know, geranium is more affordable to actually have, and have very similar properties to what rose actually has.
So is this in your first slide, and the pictures in the background, the flowers in the background, is that actually geranium?
That's actually geranium, yeah. There's also different colors of geranium as well. So yeah, that's actually a geranium flower. So I think lots of us will probably have seen geranium before, might not even know it's geranium, because, you know, not everybody knows their flowers. I don't know all my flowers.
Sure.
Even though, yeah, so
is this something that you can find in Britain? Do you know?
We can find geranium. I mean, they're very in the garden centres. You can find geraniums to buy. Yep, definitely to actually plant in the garden. So yes, you can.
Yeah. So I love that, because whenever we have an oil blend, and Sabeeha's really good at making oil blends, mashallah. And whenever there is geranium in there, it becomes really beautiful. It's feminine. It's like what you said before. It's like a feminine scent, rather than the other, which I can't remember which oil it was, or one of the blends that we've been using. Is it balance oil? It's almost like a masculine blend. It's
tree oil. So I remember you talking on your wonderful presentation, Sara, about, you know, masculine and using trees as an example for the masculine sort of.
Yes.
And so, you know, yes, you're right. So the tree oils and root oils, there's an oil called cedarwood as well, which kind of blends with geranium really nicely. But that's more of the masculine. So you could blend those two together and then get that lovely sort of masculine. Yeah.
That's really brilliant. So that's something that we're going to be talking about today as well, and bringing in that balance. And I think that's really beautiful how you can do that with oils. And it's something that me and Sabeeha are working on. Sabeeha's working really hard on this, and that is trying to find that balance with the oils, so we can be more more well-rounded and more balanced within ourselves as well. So yeah, I love how you spoke about it being the oil of love and trust. And actually, when Sabeeha told me she was going to be using geranium oil, I was really happy because I knew that geranium oil was really beautiful, and it was something that I really, you know, it's an oil that I really love. Um, and when I asked her what the properties were, when she said the oil of love and trust, well, I actually asked her, how is that relevant? How is trust relevant to giving love? And then as we explored that and as we spoke about it, we actually realized how important it is to be able to trust, in order to give love. And actually that is one of the barriers to love, to giving love. And that is that trust, not having that trust factor. So as I said earlier, in Cherished Seasons, this month, we're actually looking at giving love to others, but for the married ladies, specifically giving love to their husbands. And a few ladies have found this quite difficult and have said that they're finding it much easier to give love to other people, to their children, to their friends, rather than their husbands, because there is a lot of issues that they need to deal with as couples. And there's that lack of trust as well. There's the lack of trust of how the giving of the love will be reciprocated. Will it be accepted? Will it be appreciated? And many ladies don't feel appreciated in other areas of their lives. And so they don't want to be appreciated simply because they're giving love, because they do so many other things which are not even being acknowledged. So we're going to be talking about that trust, and how important it is for us to firstly trust Allah, knowing that every single thing that we do, every single act of kindness that we do, every act of giving love that we do is being noted, recorded in our books, and will be duly rewarded and recompensated. And so nothing that we do as Muslims, as cherished Muslims, we should know is ever going to be in vain. Nothing that we do is not going to be acknowledged or appreciated by Allah. So firstly, it's having that trust with Allah. Secondly, it's having that trust with ourselves, trusting ourselves to do the right thing, trusting ourselves to be able to give love, trusting ourselves to be capable of giving love. One of the areas of which we look at in terms of giving love with regards to marriage is giving intimate love, massages, admiration, acts of service, actually dressing up ourselves and making ourselves look beautiful as an act of service to build intimacy in the marriage. And also making ourselves available to be sexually intimate, because women are so busy, right? So you know how busy women can get and how busy we can get in the Cherished Muslim team right now, making our programs, right? And that's why you have recommended oils like balance and even uplifting oils like lemon, which you've recommended before. It's just getting ourselves that clarity that we need, and that balance and that grounding that we need, so that we can be nourished in ourselves to be the mothers, the sisters, the wives that we were created to be. And having said that, even if we don't have any children, we can be good mothers, we can be caring and compassionate and nurturing towards other people, towards ourselves. And it's about having that trust. And thirdly, it's also about having that trust in other people as well, knowing that people are not inherently bad. And the majority of the time, the people are not inherently bad. And often they are behaving in a way that is useful for them in some particular way. So knowing trusting in the other person and the goodness that they have to offer, trusting in ourselves, and ultimately in trusting Allah. There's a beautiful ayah in the Quran in Surah Talaq, where Allah says that whoever is conscious of Allah and keeps his duty to him, Allah will make a way out for him from every difficulty, and he will provide to him from sources that that person couldn't even imagine. And that whoever puts their trust in Allah, Allah will suffice them. So that's really beautiful. And again, it fits in with trust, that if you put your trust in Allah and you do things consciously, for his sake. So smiling at your husband, dressing up for your husband. For me right now, my husband's not well, so he's got a really bad back, and putting oil on him whenever I remember. Sabi has been telling me to put oil on him every 15
Yes.
minutes.
Yes, Sara.
Every 15 minutes, she's telling me to put oil on my husband. And every time I do, it really helps him. I don't always want to do it, but I do it knowing that I'm doing it as an act of giving love. I'm doing it as an act of giving service. And I'm also doing it as an act of worship. And it will be rewarded. Allah is watching me. Allah is writing, well, my angels are writing down everything that I'm doing. And Allah is keeping an account. It's not going to go in vain. Even if I'm feeling fed up, even if I'm feeling tired. And knowing that if I do this, then Allah will make a way out for me from every difficulty, and He will provide for me from sources I can't even imagine. That's just such a beautiful feeling. It's such a beautiful motivation for me. And if I put my trust in Allah, knowing that I'm going to do the right thing and Allah is going to take care of me and He's going to provide for me from sources that I can't even imagine, and He's going to make a way out for me from every difficulty, then if I do all of this, then Allah is going to be my sufficiency. He's going to be enough for me. So that's really beautiful. So I'm really, really glad, Sabeeha, that you chose geranium oil, with it being the oil of love and trust. Oh, so what's that like in terms of that ayah? What's that brought up for you? And in terms of that trust and that love, were you aware of all of this when you actually chose this oil, and what's that brought up for you? And even if you'd like to share anything personal, what's that bringing up?
Yeah, so no, I wasn't. I didn't go that deep, but I'm glad you did, Sara, because it does stir those sort of emotions and feelings to kind of think, wow, Allah's love is just infinite. It's open. Allah's love is open to us all the time. And the wonderful thing also about using the oils, because they are gifts of the earth from Allah, we really connect. We can really connect through the oils back to Allah as well. And that's what I try and do when I'm using my oils. It's always like sort of connecting back to, that this is something Allah has sort of provided for us. We have these plants and these, these trees, these wonderful natural elements that He's kind of given to us to actually use. And it's just, up to us to kind of find out ways we can use them to actually benefit us and others, as we're using the oils, because as even the aroma of the oils that we may be using will affect other people as well. So yeah.
I love the fact that you spoke about the gifts of the earth. Subhanallah. I think for me, especially with what's been happening with my husband, may Allah give him health and quick recovery, inshallah. It's about trusting that the oils work.
Yes.
So and it's been a journey for my husband as well, because I would say, oh, let me put some wintergreen on you, and he'd say, can you go and get me some deep heat? So I bought home deep heat, and on the box it said it contains an aspirin-like, I don't think it said chemical, I said medicine or something. It contains an aspirin-like chemical, methyl salicylicate. And I was like, salicylicate, that's wintergreen. So I did say to my husband, I said, you know what deep heat's got in it? That's wintergreen. And he was like, oh, right. But anyway, I went with it. And I was giving him love and acts of service and giving him a massage on his back with deep heat. And it was really interesting, because a little while later he said, could you use your wintergreen? And I was like, sure. And I didn't ask why. But as the days went by, because unfortunately it's taken 3 weeks now, subhanAllah. As the days went by, I said, how come you prefer wintergreen to deep heat? And he said, it just seems to last longer. Deep heat brings that immediate heat, but the wintergreen, it kind of goes deeper. So that was him. I think that was it's also seeing the oil work. It builds your trust as well, right? Yeah. And then the second thing was, as you know, Sabeeha, you know this already, but the peppermint oil. When I started using peppermint oil, because then we actually realized through his osteopath that I had an inflamed muscle, and I was just racking my brain because wintergreen wasn't working that well on him. And I was thinking, what should I do? I need to reduce the inflammation. And I just thought of peppermint. And at the same time where Sabeeha actually texted me and said, try peppermint. And we used the peppermint and it really, really soothed him and it really cooled it down. And now he actually is really trusting the oils and he wants me to put oil on him. And he actually says that, you know, the oils are more effective than one, deep heat, and two was, what's the word? I think it was Volatrol.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Volatrol. It's got ibuprofen in it, and it's a cream, it's a massage cream. And he said, yep, it doesn't really work that well. So yes, I think it's the oil of love and trust. I think that's really beautiful, actually. So just connecting the dots now, you know, and it's just it's as cherished Muslims, you know, connecting to Allah with love as well, knowing that and trusting that He's given us in this world, because Allah says in the Quran that He didn't produce, He didn't create anything in vain. You know, He's created all of these things for a reason. And so it's really nice to actually use these oils. But moving back to geranium oil, because this is all about giving love. So what are the reasons? Why did you choose geranium oil? I know you said it was the oil of love and trust, but what are the other reasons?
Okay. So just one more thing that geranium oil helps to do emotionally, because we know that the oils have physical and emotional elements to them as well. So they work on both. So when we apply, you know, geranium will actually help to open the heart so that we can actually give love. You know, the love will flow freely. So it has that effect on us as well when we actually use it emotionally. And I know I talk a lot about inhaling the oils, sort of just inhaling geranium will have that effect on our, you know, we talk about the olfactory nerve of the nose, which then actually sends those messages, you know, to the limbic system of the brain, which then sends messages to the rest of our body to react in a certain way. So it helps to create that flow from the heart and opens the heart in order so we can give love easily. So it flows easily from us then. So it's a real emotional healer, geranium, very, very emotional healing. So
I love that, Sabeeha, because, you know, one of the really hard things about giving love is if your heart is closed off to that intimacy, it's really hard to give love. And I know a few sisters on the Cherished Seasons course are struggling with this right now. So what I love about these oils, and they are the fruits of gifts. Is it the gifts of the earth, Sabeeha?
Gifts of the earth, yeah.
Gifts of the earth. So you're Sabeeha's a doTERRA wellness advocate, and doTERRA is it a French word?
It's a Latin word, actually.
Latin word. So it's a Latin word meaning gifts of the earth. So that's so beautiful because we can use these gifts and they're actually good for us, and they're not just sweet smelling oils and, you know, nice, interesting, you know, oils with interesting properties, but they actually work. Just like I was talking about the peppermint actually being soothing and cooling, this oil opens the heart. So this is something really, really beautiful. And I think you're going to be talking about that in the next slide, aren't you?
Yes.
About opening the heart.
Yeah.
I think, and it fits in really well with the self-care that we're going to be talking about in terms of giving love as well. You also spoke about it having a hormonal balance, right?
Yeah, so it also has the properties that actually balance our hormones out as well. So we can use geranium, we can use it in several ways to balance all of the hormones. You can just use it on your feet on a daily basis, just pop it on the bottoms of your feet and it will get into your body and work within your body. It's also a really nice oil because it smells so beautiful. You know, you could actually just put it on the pulse points as well. And then that will obviously help to balance hormones as well because it has those properties within it. Yeah.
What I love about it when you said it was a hormone balancer was because giving the habit of giving love in terms of it being a feminine way of giving love and a womanly way of giving love is also an act, a masculine act. So in terms of the yin and yang energies, giving is masculine and receiving is feminine. And that's why we actually focused on gratitude right at the beginning. That is being grateful for all the love that we're receiving in our lives, being loved for all of the acts of service that we're receiving, the touch that we're receiving, the gifts that we're receiving, the compliments and the words of affirmation that we're receiving. openly accepting them into our hearts. And this is a very feminine act, that the gift of receiving. The gift of the act of receiving, sorry, and the act of giving love is actually a masculine act, but it is in a way, we do it in a feminine way. So it's quite paradoxical. We actually giving, which is a masculine trait, in a very feminine way. And so that in terms of balancing those hormones, where we have got the masculine hormones and we've got the feminine hormones being balanced within us, I think that's a really beautiful thing. Yes, and finally, we also spoke about how geranium oil is really good for our body in terms of our skin and our hair. So tell us a bit more about that, Sabeeha.
So yeah, so I've just sort of pulled up a few things that we can use geranium oil for, and how we can kind of make these sort of beauty kind of products, if you like, at home, with things that we have in the home as well, and add the oils to it. So yeah, so the geranium protein hair masks, because we know that our hair is a beautification, you know, it's something we can really use to, you know, enhance our beauty, you know, for our husbands, etc. So so using geranium oil on the hair is going to give it, it's going to have amazing properties. It will obviously help it to shine, and just, can you imagine the smell of it as well? It would smell really, really nice after you've actually put it into your hair. But this particular geranium protein mask, we use things like yogurt in there. So you would need to put 2 tablespoons of yogurt, some distilled water. Now, you don't necessarily need to get distilled water. What I normally do when they say distilled water, I actually boil my kettle and let that water go cold. So it's kind of, you know, sort of boiled it up and let it go cold. Then I use that when it's cool out of the kettle. So 2 tablespoons of distilled water, just 3 drops of doTERRA geranium oil, because remember that, you know, the doTERRA oils are very, very potent. So you don't need to use a lot when you're using the oils. And then 1.5 tablespoons of raw organic honey, and then ½ teaspoon of olive oil. And what I love about this recipe as well, it's got a lot of sort of sunnah kind of ingredients in there as well. We've got the honey, which we know is very, very healing. We've also got olive oil as well. So I really love this recipe for that reason as well.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So something which I wanted to actually talk about, because I thought it was really interesting how we said that, you know, geranium oil, one of the properties is healthy skin and hair. Something which we looked at in the establishment call this month for Cherished Seasons was the fact that in order to give love effectively, we need to be on top of our self-care, but specifically feminine self-care. And these sort of things are all feminine self-care. It's like the hair masks, it's the massages, it's the feminine things that we do for ourselves. It's the bubble baths, it's the candlelit baths, or even candlelight in the evenings. It's doing those little acts of feminine self-care which really help us to connect to our femininity so that we can give love more freely and more openly. Talking about the openness of the heart, if you just, can you just talk about this slide, because this slide's really beautiful, Sabeeha. It's that honesty, and you said apply over the heart with a carrier roll to
so
open.
so geranium encourages emotional honesty and love. So that's, I think that's so beautiful. You know, as Sara's been talking about, you know, that we need to trust in Allah first, trust in ourselves, trust in others. So when able to do that, you know, we need to sort of, you know, be able to open our hearts freely. So applying geranium, just 1 drop of geranium, I can tend to put it in a little bit of a carrier oil and kind of massage that over the heart area, and that helps us to sort of have that open to give and receive love, because we know we need to be open to receive as well as give. You know, as women, we give a lot, but we tend to shut ourselves off to receive. And that's in every aspects of our life. But, you know, when we're trying to sort of have this intimate relationship with our husband, we need to be able to be open to receive it, and really freely open to receive it as well. So I love this so much.
Yeah, so this is, I think this is really beautiful. This is a really beautiful property of geranium oil. And when we talk about giving love and the habit of giving love, it's important to remember that this giving love is not just for marriages, it's for all relationships. It's our relationship with ourselves, giving love to ourselves through self-care, as we were mentioning, feminine self-care in this context. But giving love to others and giving love to our spouses, if we do have a spouse. This word term, emotional honesty, is so beautiful. Recently, I've been coaching somebody on the Cherished Seasons forum who was actually feeling quite neglected by her husband. She felt like her husband wasn't giving her any emotional intimacy at all. There was no hugs, there was no kisses, there was no affection, and she was really suffering to the point where she thought that I can't take this any longer. And so we were talking through it. We actually had some coaching to get, she had a coaching session with me, and one thing that she identified was she was so tired of telling him and had told him again and again what her needs were, but because her needs were not being met, she'd stopped speaking about her needs. But what she hadn't stopped was the complaining and the mentioning of how upset she was. And so she'd gotten into a cycle where she was complaining all the time and was being upset all the time. When I actually asked her when the last time was that she'd actually been honest with her husband and told him what her needs were and what she wanted from him, she realized that it had been a very long time. Upon questioning her, she actually identified that it had been over a year since she'd actually expressed what her needs were to her husband. But in terms of complaining, she said she did that all the time. And so this emotional honesty is so important. Being honest about how you feel, being honest about how things are affecting you, and being honest about your boundaries and sticking to them and being true to them. And so when this sister, when she spoke to her husband about her boundaries and her needs and expressed them to him, he started distracting her and said, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but all right, how about we go out for dinner in the evening? And so she said, okay, thinking that, you know, he's extending the olive branch, so let me reciprocate. But what was happening was her need still wasn't being met in terms of what she wanted from him. The kisses, the hugs, even one kiss or one hug, or even any form of affection, which was non-sexual. She wasn't getting that. But because he'd extended the olive branch, she went with it. But again, her needs were not being met. And so we identified that when he does distract her, in using this distraction technique that he has of changing the subject, she gets distracted. So for her, she wasn't being emotionally honest. She was just going along with what he said. So it was about her coming back to what is really important to her, and being true to that, trusting in her boundaries, trusting in her needs, and not giving way to others. Similarly, when it comes to emotional honesty, what happened was eventually he was nice to her. He said, come, he sat near her. He said, he was kind of affectionate towards her, but in terms of what she stated about her needs of wanting hugs and kisses, he still didn't do that. But the fact that she had said that she had received a little bit of affection from him, she actually said, right, let's go out for a meal then. So she used that distraction technique herself as well, not being truly honest with herself, that actually her real core need, the core need for which was not being met for her, to the point where she was thinking, I can't remain in this marriage anymore because of this need not being met. It still wasn't being met. So I love the fact that this is all about emotional honesty, about being honest with yourself. Is my need being met right now? Or is it, or am I settling for something where my need is not being met, and what is truly, truly important to me? And that's what boundaries are. A lot of boundaries take recognition of what is really important to us and what our needs are. So I think this is really beautiful. Also, you also have some other really beautiful recipes, feminine self-care recipes, don't you, Sabeeha? Tell us more about them.
Okay, so Yeah, so we're talking about sort of massage. So massage is a wonderful act to give and receive. And this particular blend is, you know, for both, so giving and receiving. So I love this massage oil. It's so beautiful. So it has the wonderful frankincense oil in there, which is obviously a tree oil. So we can relate the trees also to masculine. Also, geranium actually has obviously the properties we've talked about. It's beautiful floral oil. Ylang ylang is another wonderful oil that actually balances the hormones, and it's also known as a bit of an aphrodisiac as well. So it's a good oil to put into a sensual sort of massage oil. And then the wild orange, the orange oil is just a very uplifting, you know, an uplifting oil for the emotions as well. And it has that citrusy sort of zing with it as well. So it's a beautiful, beautiful combination of oils. And, you know, you would just literally put it into the oil of your choice, really. I think they're recommending here a jojoba. Was that a jojoba oil that they put in there? Yeah. And almond oil as well, and then fractionated coconut oil. So sort of like you can combine either all of them or just use one of them with it, and use that as your massage oil. So it's a beautiful blend, absolutely beautiful blend.
So we heard ilang ilang. Is that a tree oil? Is it a flower? What is that?
That's a flower. That's a flower again. So you've got a couple of flower oils in there. And then you obviously have your tree and then your citrus. So it's balancing it out. With the oils, it's good to get that balance of oils in there to give it the combination that it needs to have, you know, really good effect.
That's beautiful. So in terms of the citrus oils, that doesn't actually come from the blossom, it actually comes from the citrus fruit itself.
It comes from the citrus fruit, and it comes from the rind of the fruit. So it's like the you know, when you actually get a lemon or orange and you kind of get the rind and you squeeze it, sometimes you'll see that little squirt come out, or you'll kind of, you know, if you rub your hands together, then you can smell it, and that's where the actual orange or the lemon is actually extracted from, the actual rind of the fruit. Yeah.
Beautiful, amazing. So in terms of it being essential massage oil, I have to again talk about feminine self-care, which is so important. So self-care is an act of self-love. It's part of the love trait, and it's also it's a mothering act. It's an act where we get to mother ourselves and look after ourselves and nurture ourselves just as we would nurture our children or nurture a plant or nurture our pets. That care and attention that we devote for others, self-care is giving that care, attention, and focus to ourselves. And women are so famous for neglecting themselves. So whenever we look at self-care, we look at it three ways. We look at it in terms of giving it to ourselves, receiving it. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. It's self-care for ourselves. Sorry, no, not self-care. Whenever we look at giving love, we look at giving it to ourselves and giving it to others and receiving it as well. So, as you said, it's good for giving and receiving, but also in terms of looking after ourselves as well. So I think it ticks all of the boxes here, where all of the boxes of the 3 love habits, where you can use it to receive love from our spouse. And it doesn't always have to be our spouse, right? It can be our sisters. I mean, in terms of customs and that self-care and looking after one another and looking after the sisterhood. I remember when I was young, my mum used to sit us all down, well, me and my sister anyway, and she would get a little bowl of oil and she'd tell us to warm it up in the microwave very, very slightly, and then she would stick her fingers in the oil and then she would massage it in our hair, and she'd make sure that all of the scalp was covered in oil. And then once it was covered, then she'd give us a massage, and it was the most beautiful thing. And we'd go to sleep with that on, and the next morning we'd have a shower and wash it off, and our hair would be so silky and so nourished and so deeply conditioned. So this is something that I think, especially with the hair mask, inshallah, one day we are going to have a Cherished Muslim retreat, and I think we are going to make our own hair masks. Yeah. And we will, I think it'd be really nice to put hair masks on one another and give, you know, our each other hair treatments and put those masks on and go to sleep with it on, and it'd be really, really beautiful. So also, I remember in terms of bath salts, I remember I texted you once. I thought I'd have a relaxing bath with, I think it was wild orange. And so I filled up my bath. I dropped a few drops of wild orange essential oil in the bathtub. And then I got into the bathtub. And as I got in, I felt the oil stick to my back. And then as I was in the bath, I started to feel my back starting to burn. And then I realized that all of the oil had stuck to my back and it hadn't dissolved properly. And I texted you, I said, Sabeeha, what's happened? What have I done? And what did you tell me? How are we supposed to have oil baths?
Yes, you're supposed to mix it with the salt, really, the Epsom salt. That's the best way, or any salt, to be honest. I mean, you know, even if you've got Himalayan salt and you don't have Epsom salts, you can actually just mix the oils. But because oils and water don't mix, what happened was that the oil just laid on the top of the water, and you might not be pleased to know, but it has happened to me prior when I didn't realize as well. So I did get that same experience, so I can kind of relate. It kind of just really burns and prickles the back. So not a good idea just to drop oils in the water. Even if you swill it around, it's still going to lay on the top of the water. So when you mix it with something like the Epsom salts, it actually helps to mix the oils in, make a blend of it, and then you put it into the bath, and then it will mix in really well. So yeah, definitely never put the oils directly into the bath like that. It can be actually really, really damaging. So don't do that.
So what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What I do now is I get my Epsom salts and I put it onto the bathtub when my bathtub is empty. So I pour the salt into the bath and just make a pile of it. And then I drop the oil onto the pile and then I mix it into the salts. And then I start to fill my bathtub. That seems to work really well for me. Would you think that's all right?
That's okay. I think I would be a little bit cautious if it's the plastic bath. If you're kind of putting the oils into the plastic, depending on how much you mix it in and put it onto the plastic, just because, you know, it would be better to mix them first, really, you know, make your little pot or something and then just pop them into the, you know, like when the water's running, sort of pop that in and sprinkle it in and just let that dissolve in. So that's the way I would do it, under the sort of tap, maybe, you know, as you're running your bath. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it would be fine. But I think, you know, sometimes the plastic doesn't you might even damage it. You know, if the oils are quite strong, it could sort of take the sheen off the plastic if you mix it in too much. So be aware of your bath. It doesn't damage it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about having a little bowl that you can mix it in with, so this is something that is really, really important and something which is quite, it's quite significant to the Cherished Muslimah program, and that is clearing the pathway and making things easier to achieve. And so having a bowl in the bathtub, not in the bathtub, in the bathroom where you're going to be mixing your oils would be really good. Having the Epsom salts already purchased and upstairs, either in the bathroom or near the bathroom where you can actually just grab them whenever you need to have a salt bath, that would be really, really helpful. In terms of the sensual massage oil, I think, you know, just having the base oil, for starters, having the oils ready to use anyway. So you'd need to have ordered, for example, frankincense or geranium or the other oils that are needed, but also ordering the base oil, like if it's the sweet almond oil, just having that in place. I think all of these things, they're so important to do beforehand, and that's where preparation and planning is so important. So in Cherished Muslimah, we talk about the inner garden a lot, but we talk about clearing the pathway. So you can just imagine a pathway that leads from one area of your garden to another area. If that pathway is cluttered, if it's full of leaves, if it's full of rubbish, you might not actually want to use that pathway and get to where you were going. You might just end up going somewhere else instead. So similarly, you might think, I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to run myself a bath. And when you go there and you can't find your salts, instead you find a linen cupboard, which is a complete mess, and you start cleaning up the linen cupboard, which is what we do, right? Or, you know, we will think, well, let's have a sensual massage. This evening, you know, it's me and my husband, let's spend some time together and, you know, let's be intimate this evening. And then you haven't got the things in place and you haven't made the oil already. So, you just use maybe just, olive oil, which is great, but it's not going to have that beautiful, uplifting, sensual experience. And especially with all of the properties of the oils being in place as well. When we speak about when you spoke about geranium oil encouraging that honesty and love and an open heart and to apply it over the heart, for me, clearing the path and making things easy has meant that I actually put certain oils in the bathroom. They're there for me, and so when I get out the shower, I step into that act of mothering and self-love, and I actually put a womb massage oil, which I have around my womb. And then I also have is it the women's blend from doTERRA? I actually use that and massage it on me. It's a very, it's a very nourishing experience, knowing that just that little act that you do for yourself when you step out of the shower in the morning, you're doing it as a form of self-care. It raises your self-worth. It raises the connection that you have with yourself, that you are someone that you can get comfort off. I can get that comfort from myself, that mothering comfort. And it's just a very beautiful feeling. So again, I do have the womb massage oil in my bathroom, and I have the woman's blend. Is it called the woman's blend, Sabeeha?
It's called the women's. It's the Clary Calm, right? The one in the roller ball.
Yeah, Clary Calm. So it's got the Clary sage in it. Yes.
Yeah, so that's brilliant for hormonal balance. So again, like you say, over the abdomen is a really good place to put the Clary Calm.
Yeah, so again, having that there for you, so it's easy. Because it's not there, you're not going to use it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So
like you said, Sara, it's all about the preparation, especially with the oils as well, because you want them kind of ready, because you don't want to have these precious oils sitting around and then you're not using them. So you want them ready in the ways that you want to use them. There's another lovely thing that a lot of us do when we have the doTERRA oils. It's called aromatic dressing. So when it's similar to what Sara was saying about using the oils when you get out the shower, but there's two particular oils that I like to use, and it's frankincense and wild orange. It's beautiful because, it just helps to sort of ground you. And so when you come out of the shower, you'd have that ready so that you could actually just put that all over your body, and then you're aromatically dressed for the day. And I just
that's
love
beautiful.
that
I love it.
Yeah, so that's a really beautiful way of when you've given yourself that self-care, you've had your shower, you've come out, you've aromatically dressed yourself with the oils that really help to balance you out as well, to ground you and uplift you. And, you've had that experience to kind of set you up for your day. So yeah, really great way of using the oils.
It's also a really great way of setting you up for the evening as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have a really beautiful bridging ritual for the evening. When I finish work, I go for a walk. Right now it's sweltering, so I don't go for a walk. So in the evening, then I do my evening stretches. And both of them, either going for a walk or doing my evening stretches of Pilates, it leaves me sweaty. But the whole day, just the whole day of working, it's not a fresh feeling during that. By the evening time, I don't feel fresh. So one of the rituals that I do in the evening is to have that shower and get into evening mode. If I want to put my night clothes on at that time, I do. Or what I actually put a dress on in the evening, or something which I wouldn't normally wear during the day when I was just doing my work. So that ritual of just transferring over, I think it's such a lovely time at that point to do that. Like you said, it's such a beautiful word, aromatic dressing, just getting you in that mood, right? Getting you in that mood to be open to receiving love, but also to be open to giving love, because you're actually giving yourself love at that time, and you're actually ready for romance as well. That's not to say that you do that at every single evening. You have a romantic encounter with your husband, because that's not the purpose of it. The purpose is not to actually have the romantic encounter, because when we do things with expectation, when they don't happen, we can end up disappointed. So giving love is about giving to the other person just for the sake of giving, because we know that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that even a smile is charity, a kind word is charity. So just these acts, even a smile can be an act of service, and a compliment and admiration could be a good word, a kind word, and they're all acts of charity, all ways of us drawing closer to Allah. and in the process, nourishing our relationships. So just to finish off with, and just again, talking about clearing the path and making things easy. Sabeeha is an incredibly busy woman. Mashallah, doing lots of amazing things. And she's often pestered by me, asking her where I can buy certain things from. For example, base oils, or for example, oils to bottles to mix our oils with and also what is it that you recently told me about little roller bottles? So there's a few websites which you recommend, isn't there, in terms of buying that? So which website do you recommend that we buy our base oil from?
So would it be better to put a link at the bottom of this, Sara, or do you want me to give the
Yeah, it'd be
website
nice.
now?
Once we post it, we can put the link. But what is the company again? Is it?
So the company to get all the sort of accessories, like your little spray bottles, your spray caps, you know, even your amber bottles that you want to mix your massage oil up in, roller balls. So it's called the Essential, wait a second, essentialoilsupplies.co.uk.
Okay, inshallah. So yeah, that is a really good website. In terms of the carrier oil, they do really big bottles, don't they?
Yeah, so that site is just basically for your kind of accessories. So there's another site that actually does, and off the top of my head, I've not got it, but if we can link it in the bottom. But this particular one just does like the accessories. They don't do any carrier oils.
Okay.
But they'll do all the amber bottles and things like that you can get to actually mix your oils into. Yeah.
So what I love about Sabeeha's work is she knows which places to get the best things from. You know, making things easier for us in terms of doing things economically as well. She's given me loads of tricks on how to make oils go further. And so just having the right things in place, like Sabeeha just mentioned, the base oil you'd get from a different company, which she recommends, which I've bought, and it's really, really good. It's almond oil, isn't it, Sabeeha?
Yeah, you can get the almond oil, you can get the fractionated coconut oil, you can get them in really big sizes, like the litre. That's what I do.
Yeah,
so
I've got a litre bottle, and it's
you can get a pump. They do the pump as well to go on the top. So just to make it really easy.
Yeah.
I'm all about making it easy because we're all busy, and you just really want to have things pre-done. And that's so important. Otherwise, you're not, like Sara said, you're not really going to go and do that and start mixing it all up there, and then you'll probably just won't do it, or you'll just use, you know, something that's not so beneficial. So yeah.
Inshallah, great. Yes, like Sabeeha said, she's all about making things easy and doable. So if you do want more information about how to use oils, how to purchase them, then Sabeeha is your lady. Her company is called Living Clean and Pure, and she is on Instagram and Facebook as well. Is it Dawn-Sabeeha, right? Your handle?
Yeah, Dawn-Sabeeha.
Dawn-Sabeeha. Yeah, reach out to her because she can get you set up to buy doTERRA oils at wholesale prices, for which you need to actually have an account. So she'll help you to set up an account. And not only does she help you set up that account, but it's a complete journey that she takes you on, and helps you through getting you what you need. You can go to her with your questions. You can go to her with your complaints about health complaints, and she'll direct you to the right oils, the right gifts of Allah's beautiful earth. And she's also here on the Cherished Muslimah team, helping us to create more healthier and purer lives. So we're not relying on, what's the word that you said? Was it artificial fragrances that you said?
Yeah.
Good for it.
Yeah, I mean, there is artificial fragrances. I mean, it's obviously a lot of them are chemically based as well. So we don't want to put chemicals on our bodies, really, or in our homes for that matter. So that's a journey of itself, but especially on our bodies. And also, I just wanted to add that if anybody would like to sample an oil for a particular concern, then I do actually have like a Google sort of doc form that people can actually fill in, and then I will get back to them and we'll chat about what sample oil they might want to try for a particular concern as well. So there's that option that I do. So it's a free sample for them to try.
Brilliant, brilliant. So you can put the links, we'll put the links at the bottom of the video for you to try out any sample oils and where to get your oil supplies from. And so that we can clear the pathway and make things easy for ourselves. So when the time comes where we want to nurture ourselves, doing some feminine self-care, or we want to be intimate with our spouse, and give them a sensual oil massage, or receive a sensual oil massage ourselves, we've got all the ingredients and all of the equipment and apparatus, if you like, in place already. So that was a very beautiful, inspiring, loving, and practical discussion. I thought that was really nice, how we can practically, in a very practical sense, make it easy for ourselves to give love to others, using this beautiful oil, geranium oil. Thank you so much, Sabeeha, for your time and for your efforts and all of the striving that you're doing to help women to make better choices for their health and well-being. It's a real pleasure to talk to you. May Allah reward you and your family. Do you have any parting words?
I think just take, obviously for me, this has been learning as well, because every time I speak to Sara, every time we do something together, I'm learning through her every time. So I feel like I've had my own mini class with her as well. So this has been brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. I love that about the Cherished Muslimah team, that whenever we talk to one another, likewise Sabeeha, for me, I've just learned so much. I've just learned, the whole concept of trust as well. It's so beautiful, and it just ties in so much with the Cherished Muslimah ethos of doing everything as acts of worship. Even massaging oil on our hearts can become an act of worship if we do that purposefully. And also, sorry, one last thing that we've missed, that is to do everything prayerfully, right? So in terms of doing things prayerfully with the oils, Sabeeha, remind us again how we do that.
I mean, for me, I tend to sometimes have my oils where I pray. So, for instance, if I was going to put geranium over my heart or a particular oil, I would probably do it before I pray. Like, it would be there ready for me to use. And then, like Sara said, you would be sort of purposefully applying the oil, with that in mind, that Allah's giving you this gift, and it's a gift of opening the heart, to sort of receive, sort of give and receive. So yeah, put your oils, in places where you can really, really, remember Allah when you're using your oils. It's always everything comes from Him. So Alhamdulillah. So that's how.
Alhamdulillah. You also, I don't know if I'm going to have to jog your memory, and I don't know if you remember it. And if you don't, it's absolutely fine. But I was really, really inspired once when you were saying that pray to Allah to allow the oil to work. It was something like that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, you're trying to jog my memory now, and I'm thinking, what did I specifically say? Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, getting that oil, inhaling it, and sort of asking, through Allah, that the oil gives you either the shifa that you need, or, like we say, depending on what oil that you're using, opens up that for you. So yeah, using your oils, like you say, purposely, prayerfully, so building it into that.
Yes, exactly. That's the reason I said I wanted to jog your memory, because I often find, Sabeeha, when I ask you, when you say it to me, you use certain words and I'm always like, oh, that sounds really, really beautiful. It's asking Allah to put that shifa in that oil for you, because there's one of the beautiful narrations of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said that the ummah is like the rain, and what he meant by that was, when it rains, you don't know which drop of rain is going to cause the tree to grow, or the seed to grow. It might rain for a whole month, not continuously, but it might rain during a course of 1 month, and the seed or the tree might not grow, or the flower might not grow. But then you could have one day of rain on, after a month's time, or maybe after 6 months' time. Just that one day will be the cause of that growth taking place. So the water is the same, but it's the power that water has at that particular time that will bring out the best in the growth. And that's why the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that my ummah is like the rain. We don't know which part of the the timeline of the Ummah is going to bring the most khair. So we don't know if our time, like Sabeeha, all the work that we're doing in the Cherished Muslimah team, the work that Auntie Zaida's doing, the work that Shaida's doing, the work that even Nabila's doing, we don't know if that's going to bring the growth right now. But just passing that message on and transferring it over to the sisters, transferring it over to ourselves, we're transferring it over to our families. We don't know who's going to be affected by that the most. It could be that one of our great granddaughters take from their grandmother, who takes from their mother, who takes all the way back to one thing that we might have said. And from them realizing, okay, I'm being really empowered by that, being really affected by that, and being a leader in her community that really brings that change. We don't know that it might just be one person. We don't know that it might be every single one of our progeny, inshallah. That's what we pray for, right? But we don't know who it's going to be that's going to be the most affected by what we say. Is it going to be us? Is it going to be somebody who comes in the future? So we don't know. We don't know which part of the timeline is going to bring the most. We don't know which part of the timeline is going to bring the most benefit. And similarly, we don't know which drop of oil is going to bring us the most benefit. So it's about asking Allah, oh Allah, put the shifa in the oil, oh Allah, put the transformation in the oil. So when I put this oil on my heart, it opens my heart. Let this drop be the one that opens my heart.
Thank you for watching this Cherished Wellness video. I hope that you're able to bring love, intimacy and trust into your life through feminine self-care and giving love. Until next time, may Allah be with you always.